day college football fans look forward to every year, and coaches are looking forward to it too, to get it over with. It is a long process, and it's getting longer and longer because you add more than just 1 year. Now it's probably a 2 or 3 year process for recruiting all these kids, and it's not a perfect process. There's no way you can make it perfect. There's some that you have to take a lot of advice from a lot of different people. But over the last probably 18, 20 months, we've redone our recruiting office. Greg Bruner, our recruiting coordinator, and now most schools, as we do, we have analysts that come to work every day, and all they do is watch film, and they evaluate. And then that film, once they evaluate it, goes to the position coaches, and then position coaches to coordinator, and then coordinators to me, and then we kind of do a reverse process. So what we've tried to do over the years is, with all the technology that we have, we use it, and we try to get it as perfect a process as we possibly can. And there's still a little guesswork to it, but I'm proud of all the guys in our recruiting office. Now this is really the first year that we've been able to utilize the process that we use. And sometimes we come up with a lot of names that some people don't hear about. But that's the beauty of it. We want to make sure that we get the right guys to come to the University of Cincinnati for the right reasons, character, attitude, academics, but also come to be productive athletes and football players. And I think this group today shows a wide variety of players from all over the country. We obviously recruit this area awfully hard. This is a year that we didn't have that much success with the players that we offer scholarships to. But again, you've got to go out because of that and search far and beyond, and we do that every year. This year also, we took on the battle of saying, hey, we're going to throw a name in the hat on every player that we think can play here. I don't care who's offering them, whether it's the #1 team in the country or #5 team in the country, we're going to go head to head. And I'll tell you, it's a different attitude that we took, and I think we made a lot of progress. We found out a lot of things from a lot of players that took trips to Cincinnati that probably some people even thought they wouldn't take trips to, but they came. Some we got, some we didn't. But we threw our name in the hat, and we want to do that because we feel like that we can compete with anybody. It hadn't been done that way in the past, and so I feel like that just because of our recruiting coordinator and all the guys in that office, you know, we've enhanced what we're doing, and I think we're getting a much more defined athlete for a position. It's becoming more position specific, and because of that, it's going to make us a better football team. It's obvious to myself, and obviously obvious to people that watch us play the last couple of years, some areas such as special teams, we have not been very good. And that is the reason that if you look on our recruiting list this year, we've signed a lot more athletes. And we've had to do that. Last year was basically a lineman year. This year was more of a skill position year. We had to get more athletes. We ran all the way through our corners and safeties last year because of injuries. We got down to kids that should be redshirted. But we're adding more depth in those positions. If you look at receivers, we graduated 6, we signed 7. A lot of those kids could play both ways. A lot of those kids will play special teams, speed and athletic ability. That's what we look for this year. We look for as much athletic ability, quickness being #1, speed being #2. And that'll make your football team better every time. I would have liked to have gotten 1 or 2 more linemen. We had several guys committed going up into the last couple of weeks, but we won some battles, we lost some battles again because we threw our name out there with guys that normally University of Cincinnati hadn't recruited against because they felt like, hey, we didn't belong in that battle. We do belong in that battle. We're going to continue to fight those battles, and we're going to win just as many. But you're not going to win all of them. So that being said, I'm looking forward to this group. You know, when we get them all in, we have 7 that we signed that coming in semester. We have 15 that we signed basically today, and 1 preferred walk-on. And this is going to be a group that will make us better and better. They're from all walks of life. We have, 4 or 5 junior college players. One that we actually signed a couple of years ago, we placed in the junior college and we took out. We had to have some experience in some areas, one being wide receiver, one being defensive back. We had to have some experience. One being at tackle. We lost 2 tackles this year. We took a tackle from junior college that will help us maybe not be a starter, but depth. And so if you look at the list of wide receivers, most people didn't even think we were in the battle for some of these guys. I look at one here, Thomas Gaddis. I mean, I personally went to watch this kid play on an open date down in Miami, Florida. Flew down and watched him play. It was a battle all the way through. He's a guy that's like Johnny Holton. He's tall, he's lean, and he can really run. I mean, he's got that open field speed. And so he's a guy that can stretch the field. Let me bring up another one here. Jared Dokes, running back. Now, he's the only running back that we took. He's a big guy. He's a bigger running back than we normally take. He's from Indianapolis. He is an all-around athlete. And he can really catch the ball, he can block, and he can run. Really excited about him. Jerron Rollins. Up until about 3 weeks ago, we were just fighting to get in on him. We were fighting just to get him for a visit. We were able to get him to visit last weekend. He was offered by most every SEC, ACC team, and we got him right at the end. I tell you, that was a great story for us, because normally in that battle we don't win. We hadn't won in the past. This school has never won those battles with kids that far away from home. He came here. He was amazed at how great the city was, the university, the facilities, and the opportunity to get an education. So we're really excited about him. He reminds me of Chris Moore. He's a taller Chris Moore that can run, catches the ball very well. So he'll make our wide receivers much better. Ty Sponseller, linebacker. We had to have linebacker depth. He's from Mason High School here in town. He's a guy that he brings us more physical attributes to something that we've noticed over the last couple of years. We're not as physical on defense as we need to be. And I think he's going to bring that to us. You always look for a pass rusher. I mean, if you ever look at the draft in the NFL, they're always looking for that one guy that can make a play rushing a passer, and we got that guy. He was offered by everybody in the country. Robert Prunty did a terrific job on him. Name is Michael Pitts. He's from Stone Mountain, Georgia, Stevenson High School, and you will recognize him very quickly once he steps on the practice field at higher ground in August. He'll be a guy that will make us immediately better as a defense. And then another guy I want to point out, that just a playmaker. I mean, again, this year we look for guys in high school that made exceptional plays down after down, made their team much better. This kid from Spain Park in Birmingham, Perry Young, he's 5'10", 185 pounds. Doesn't look like anything special. He's always around the ball. He'll be a nickelback. He'll be an outside linebacker. He'll be on every special team. I don't know how many punts he blocked in high school, but he was always around the punter, blocked punts, basically took his football team to the state finals himself. And he's the type of athlete we're looking for. So what we've done with our recruiting, we've taken a different view, from our recruiting office with all of our analysts. We've targeted certain type of positions, certain type of players. But again, it all goes back to having more athletes on your team. You watch all these, the +1 with the 4 teams that played in the playoff. It's definite difference in most teams in the country from those teams this year. Just type of athletes that they had on their team and the athletic ability. So here at Cincinnati, we want to keep building. We want to keep building towards that direction. Take no second to anybody, throw our name in a hat, and try to get in on as many of these great athletes as we possibly can. Instead of going out and saying, okay, we know we can get this guy, we're going to sign him. That's done. That's over with. We're going out, we're going to throw our name in a hat, we're going to compete against anybody and everybody out there. And again, some will win, some will lose. We'll have a couple of scholarships to give over the next few weeks. We'll have some surprises with that. But that being said, we won't go any farther with that. It's just, I'm really excited about all these guys that we were able to sign. 7 that we signed back before school started this term. They're all out there working hard. making us better, and this is going to be a good group. Questions?
You have one Cincinnati player on here, Sponseller. How difficult has it been to recruit Cincinnati?
Well, it's like anything else. You know, we sign players from out of town that they want to leave their area and go. Now, we offer a lot of scholarships in Cincinnati. We do our due diligence. When we go to the high schools, I personally go out and watch games on Friday night, you know, to be around, to make sure that we're targeting the right guys, and we offer scholarships, and, you know, we offer scholarships they want other places. That's the bottom line. I mean, that happens to every place. You know, you look at this Michael Pitts that came from Stevenson, Georgia, here to play at Cincinnati. Every school in that state offered him a scholarship. And he wanted to go somewhere else and play, and you run into that some. But we got to keep working hard. We got to keep digging, trying to keep more of these players from going to the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC. And it is what it is. And you know, it's not that we don't go out there and try to recruit them. It's just the simple fact that we finish second, third, sometimes fourth on some of these guys that want to go other places to play.
Is it harder than you thought when you took the job to get those kids to stay home?
Well, you know, I think it's gotten a little bit harder too when this Power 5 thing. When I first got here, there was no such thing as Power 5, and so everybody's kind of on a equal playing field in terms of conferences and who's playing who. You know, we got Louisville on schedule, and you know, Pittsburgh, Syracuse that just left, and so you got a different mentality now. You know, there's been a definite use of the Power 5 against the teams that's not the Power 5. And so that's what I'm saying earlier, is we enhanced our recruiting office, we hired more people, we're doing more evaluation, and we're not saying we're not going to go after Power 5. We're going to go after as many in that level as we possibly can. Hopefully one day that, you know, we'll be in that. There's not a lot of difference, but it's just it's sales pitch that the other teams use against you, and we have it used against us every day. And so that's one thing that we'll continue to fight. But there's not like we tell them. I mean, you come here, you play the same. We play the same type of football. We play on TV as much as anybody else, but it's used against us by all the other schools that we go up against. But again, we won battles this year. We lost some. We're going to continue to fight those battles because that's how you make your football team better.
How do you counter that when the Power 5 thing is used against you?
How do you counter it? You got to get them on campus, and that's what I say. We fight hard to get them to come to campus. We got a great product to sell here. Cincinnati's won as many football games in the last 10 years as pretty much anybody in college football. You know, we have that to sell. The facilities, they are really surprised by the facilities that we have here. You know, kids come to campus, they you know, especially the ones from far away, they're excited about what they see here. So you got to sell what you have. I don't think there's any doubt that the 3 new coaches helped us this year. 2 of them coming from the NFL, that helped us in recruiting. You got to keep looking for ways to sell. But again, it's selling one thing. The number one thing you do in recruiting is evaluation, and that's what we've really enhanced, is evaluating players that we want to recruit. And there's a lot of guys we evaluate that some people say you're not recruiting him, but you know, some of these bigger schools are. Hey, that's the way it is. We want to do our due diligence, and so there's really no separation between us. Again, you know, these kids want to go play. They want to get on the field early, and that's a selling point we have here. Come play early, play against good teams, good facilities, get a great education, and be on TV almost every week. I mean, we're on TV as much as a lot of the other schools. So there's a lot of good selling points. There's a lot more pluses than minuses, but we just got to keep hammering that. And again, it's all about marketing and sales, and you got to have a product, and we do have that product here at the University of Cincinnati.
One of the local guys you lost to the Power 5 conference was Jeremy Larkin. How much, just from a perception standpoint, do you think that hurt you locally?
But you know, I can't talk about other. We lost several players that went to other schools in town that we thought we had a good chance. But you know, there's a lot of perception out there of you know, a difference, and we have to do a good job and a better job of selling than anybody else. And if we're gonna compete against the Power Five, compete against all the conferences that are making all the big money right now, you know, we've gotta let people know that our name's in the hat. And we made a huge step forward this year, even kids that we didn't get. You know, I was in several houses, and we had kids committed for 7 or 8 months, and then all of a sudden at the end we had some of the so-called top 10 teams come in with their head coaches, and we're able to get a couple away. Now we were the same way. We were able to get a couple, and that's going to happen. I mean, it's a long process. You can't think that once you get a kid committed that it's a done deal. You've got to stay on it and stay on it and stay on it. And we won our share of battles. You're not going to win them all. I mean, there's always going to be some on the fence right at the end. We won some, we lost some. So we're going to keep fighting those battles. I don't think saying, listen, we're not going to waste our time and we're just going to recruit guys we know we can get. We're not going to do that. I mean, that's not going to make you better. And so we're at the point right now, we've got everything lined up in the recruiting and how we want to do it. It's going to make us better and better. Again, number one, by evaluation. Number two, let's go get them to visit. Number three, when we get them here, let's sell them on what we have. And again, we're selling them 12 months out of the year. And again, but when you got a good product to sell, it makes it a lot easier. And all the kids that we get here are really excited about University of Cincinnati. We don't get them all, but we're going to throw our name in the hat and make sure that we get our share.
You're competing essentially nationwide for recruits. Looking back to when you started as a coach, when did that start becoming so national, if you will?
I would say more when you started getting more information on recruits. It's always been national, but it's been a lot more of a guessing game. You hear, you get word of mouth. You didn't get to used to see as much before huddle. I mean, you had to go try to get film on your own. You had to take more people's word for it. Now it's not a perfect science, but it's a more perfect science now that we can, I can go in my office and somebody can call me about a kid and see how to watch it, and I can watch that kid, everything that he's done, since he's a sophomore. And so, it's not a perfect science, but you used to do it, and it was really a guessing game. Now you got a lot better opportunity to get the type of player you want, because there's more information out there because of social media and because of camps. I mean, we get 2,000 to 3,000 kids on our campus every year for camps. And I would dare to say half these kids here went to camp, and we don't get all those either, but at least we know more about them. There's a lot of kids that come here to go to camp that we say, he's just not going to fit on what we do. He might fit at UCLA, but he's not going to fit here on what we do on offense or defense. That's the beauty of being able to get them on campus and see what you got, number one, and then you get to spend some time with them personally.
This is your fourth recruiting class, maybe really the third.
Really
after
third.
the first one.
Really third.
So most of these guys most of your roster are going to be your own players now, the guys you recruited. Maybe you've already addressed this when you talked about the athleticism, but how have you remade the roster in the way you wanted it? Is that the biggest thing?
Yeah. But of course, every coach wants more depth, but we're recruiting a different type of player on the defensive line.
Than you had when you got here?
Yeah. We're a different type of player. Actually, we actually brought 2 junior college guys in that first year that played the first year for us because we didn't have that type of player defensive end that we need. And so we look for a more athletic guy. I don't care about the size, 210 to 250, and the type of player we had here when we got here was a little bit bigger than that, not as athletic. And so I try to get as many athletes on the field as I can. It's all about having athletes against all these spread offenses. And the offense in the conference, our conference has changed. If you look at it, everybody's in the spread. I mean, it's totally different. There are no 2-back teams. It's all 1 back, no back, go fast, chuck and duck, throw 5 yards down the field, run a read option, and have an athletic quarterback. So you've got to adjust as you go along. So we've actually had to adjust ourselves with the type of teams, especially when the conference changed.
I count 7 of previous commits that decommitted in either mid-December till now. And how hard is it when you've got guys in the fold, and the word commit in recruiting, I don't know what it means anymore, but when you have guys for so long, how can you recruit and make up for those losses when guys are leaving after being committed for 7 and 8 months?
8, 9 months. It's hard, but the word commit, all that means is you better work a lot harder than you did, because this year was a different year. There were so many jobs open. You had all these new head coaches that took new jobs and didn't have a clue what they were doing in their area. And they took our recruiting list and they hit them. They took several other recruiting, they just went out for players that were committed. So we had to, it was a battle. It was a battle with all the new changes. Normally coaches and staffs really have everything set. You don't have that much of a difference, but this year there had to be 20, 25 new coaches, staffs, and they just went in, took recruiting list, commit list, and went after it, and hit the road. And we had to, we couldn't work any harder, but we had to keep a closer eye on it. And we had commits that said, listen, I'm gonna look at some of these schools. Now different schools are offering scholarships. Some took visits and changed their mind, some didn't. But we did the same thing to other people. We saw when people left, we jumped in on some of the commitments from some coaches that left, and we had some success. So it's a revolving door. It never ends, 12 months a year. We started for next year's class last year, basically. We're a year advanced farther along on what we want to do with our recruits now because of how we set up our recruiting. And so, again, we're trying to make it a better exact science, which you'll never be 100%, but that's on evaluation, because you're still going to recruit some kids that's going to come in and think that, hey, I don't have to work very hard. I made it to the promised land, and they're just going to get passed up. A signee is somebody that just signs up to make sure that they have an opportunity to play for your university, and then after that, they've got to really turn it on and prove that they can get it done.
Last year, the early signing day was voted down by the coaches themselves. Do the Power 5 schools like not having, or like a free-for-all in December and January because they can move down their list to take guys when they lose guys? Because it's turning in my 12 years of covering, it's got worse and worse every year.
That's something that we've all talked about. I was the president of the AFCA this year. I've been on the board of trustees 12 years. We pushed 5 years of eligibility. We pushed early signing date. It's like arguing with your wife. You're going to win 50%. She's going to win 50%. That might be your house. I usually win about 25%. Nobody ever can get on the same page, and we can't get enough coaches on the same page to get the early signing date. I've been for the December JUCO date of having an early signing day for kids that know where they want to go, and they've known that forever. But if you're going to take visits, nobody's for it, and I'm for that too. If you're going to take 2 or 3 visits, you might as well just wait till February. So it's hard. It's a hard process. It makes it harder on coaches and parents, but it's going to be hard to ever get that changed, get that early signing day.
Anything else?